Initially, first getting into this song was really challenging for me. I just felt like I had a lot of mental roadblocks. Yeah, things that we run through as people and artists. So I don't want to dive into all that right now, but just want to preface not giving up and letting the perseverance push through, and sometimes the inspiration comes on the other side of the wall, which is, I feel like, what I experienced on this situation, and part of why I called the song Gravitas. I feel like I found something. It's a little more like arpeggiated feel. This is the process once again, so you're gonna be seeing me mess up every once in a while. So following the piano, I added some percussion. That's usually my natural progression of song building. I ended up with a time signature of 3/4, which I don't normally run, but it's just what naturally came once again. It says A major here, but what it's actually intending to be is F major, which I'll fix later. Of you wondering about that feedback in the piano, it's just some settings I have with the limiter on the bus. Later I adjust, just a heads up, foreshadowing. On day 2 here, and I just want to give you a little preview of what I'm doing here. I'm adjusting some of the bridge and making a final chorus. What you saw is basically about the first 2/3 of the song. And I cut up a little bit of the intro. I felt like it was dragging a little bit. So the idea is to keep it chill, but also a little upbeat. It's kind of the vibe I'm going for. And that vibe is I'm linking a sidechain compression, connecting the main piano and the kick. So each time the kick hits here, the piano will dip a little bit. For those of you who know what sidechaining, I'm probably preaching to the choir. But for those of you that aren't familiar, check it out. It's a great technique. And to add probably an unnecessary amount of texture to the piano, I of course threw in some bitcrushing. Reversed it to make it this kind of like tape effect we got going on. Up next on the list is our bass. Can't forget about the bass. So something I like to do with my bass is MIDI it out because I don't have a bass guitar, and then I bounce it, and from there on I can go on and like mess with fades or cut out certain parts. I mean, this is personal preference. I just like to work with the wave file. And something I love about chill songs with dynamics is just layering different frequencies. And little pieces that I feel like bridge a song, it's just like simple little drum fills every once in a while. Or complex, it's up to you. But drum fills, love them. All right, moving on to day 3. This is getting into the realms of me starting to lose tracks of what days I was doing what, so bear with me moving forward the dialogue. From here on, I felt like some vocals were needed, and what I did was just take some vocals from another song in the same key. However, different time signature, so we'll get into that a little later. But yeah, bounced it, and then started working that 4/4 time signature into this 3/4 time signature, and yeah, it proves tricky, but we made it work. Let's hear how that turned out a little bit. Something I'm going to foreshadow is we are bringing in more vocals. Vocals do not stop. Speaking of different frequency registers, man, I felt the Ice Queen calling. Or Crystal, I guess. But yeah. And here we are on day 5, I guess. And this is where we start playing more with vocals. And something I want to preface and clarify is that all the vocals in this song are remixed from other songs I made. So nothing that's curated. For adding a little more momentum, added some bass booms, reversing them, and then just letting the real-time play. A little trick I like to do with my instruments too is cut them up and then use fades to add a little bit more just like a rhythm factor or velocity change, just giving that sense of like a rock. All right, day 6. This is when I start running into some interesting facets of the vocals because I wanted to get a little more clarified lyrics, basically. A little more poetry in the song I just felt like was needed. So I had to take another bounce from a 4/4 time signature, of course, and try to like transmogrify it to this song. And on that topic, I had to work the almond break into a 3/4 time signature. That was interesting. But after the hard work of mixing the vocals, I was really happy with how they turned out. So here they are. Of course, a crucial piece, just a little more drum fills, add some taiko, and some almond break. Or amen. And around day 3 or 4, I felt like the bridge needed some orchestral strings, and the chorus just needed a little bit more bells, basically. Whoa. All right, take 3. For those of you that enjoyed this, here you go. So I felt like this was a good stopping point for the video. The song isn't technically done. It doesn't need to be mixed and mastered, but I felt like the process and the story was really enjoyable on a personal level, but I wanted to display like it doesn't have to be done immediately, you know? I did it in like, I think 7 to 9 days of writing. I think I might do part 2 of this one. Maybe the mixing and mastering. I don't know how I'm gonna portray that just yet, but I can foresee myself doing another one of these with another song and maybe similar style. So, cheers.